So now we're going to do something which causes me a little concern. So the CPU is pretty easy to install. You release the lever, put the CPU in the proper orientation, you close the lever, CPU installed, right? Well, it gets more complicated than that because the heatsink has to clamp on, and in my experience, that's not always straightforward. So I want to pull everything here. So I'm not going to open the CPU. You can see I even pulled out the nitrile gloves back here because playing with thermal grease, because historically I've had problems where I get thermal grease on my finger and then I'm mounting and I just get thermal grease everywhere. So hopefully I can just keep the thermal grease controlled and then I can pop my gloves off when I'm manipulating things. But we'll see, I can say that, but we'll see if that actually happens. So here, 13th gen, I think I've read all this in the planning video. You can read everything here, all about it. Made in Vietnam. That's where the best stuff is made, right? So we'll put that aside. This is what it's the concern right here. The Deepcool, as usual, way too close to the camera. Too close, a little too close. We're gonna bust out our knife and just straight across there. All right. Heatsink right here. You can see that's where it's going to mount to the motherboard. Some of these will have like the thermal grease like pre-installed. It looks like this one does, but I have some extra just in case we do need some. So lovely. I'm going to put this down somewhere pretty benign, right on that cable. All right, I put it up here. So I'm resting it up here on the case. You can probably see the reflection of it right there. All right, stay. All right, let's see what's in our little friend box here. All right, here we go. This is the mounting kit. This is what needs to go on here. And this is one of the reasons why. Remember when I mounted the motherboard, I'm like, normally you're supposed to put stuff on the motherboard before you mount it. This is why, because I'm looking at this. This stuff needs to go in through the underside of the motherboard, which means I need to mount the heatsink mounting. See these 4 holes right here? 1, 2, 3. Can you see that one? 4. It looks like this needs to be mounted there. So we are at this stage in our life, all right? So we turned it on our side so we can access the bottom of the motherboard. Luckily, Thermaltake allows for us to access underneath the CPU so we can mount this bracket, okay? So this bracket goes up through the motherboard, and then we have these threaded spacers, which look like this, which cinch this frame onto the motherboard. Lovely, so the motherboard sandwiched there. And then we can install this bracket, which allows us to mount our cooler, okay? And there's an arrow on here that points towards the CPU, and then we cinch that on with this little nut, which you can see has a little Phillips head on it, but it's easy to thumb tighten as well. And that's what we're going to be looking at. Our mounting point for the heatsink. Lovely. All right, seems pretty straightforward. However, I was kind of looking at it, and we have a problem, Houston. So see how these have some metal between the black frame and the screw? So these are spaced far out, and these two are spaced too close together. And so I couldn't get these to fit, and I realized, oh, I have to pop this plastic cover off and rotate these 90 degrees so they have the clearance I need to get them to fit in the holes in my motherboard. Seriously? So I pull out a huge flathead screwdriver. This thing is huge. I'm not trying to compensate for anything. Come on, guys. Seriously. And then I just pop these off. You can see here. And I rotate this in such a fashion that will allow me to have proper spacing. So you see there's more space on this one now than on this one. So again, we have to do that one more time. It's always the last one where I impale myself or something. Okay. We just need to spin this 90 degrees. Come on. Off with the plastic. Come on. What did I say about it's always the last one? Okay, that comes off. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees and then pop this back on. Okay, there we go. Just like that. Okay, now that one didn't like that. Anyway, I guess I can slide it out now. Okay, slid out. Okay, so that took a little bit of finagling. Let's see if we can drop this in. Okay, the text on the motherboard is facing that way, right? So this is the bottom of the text and the top of the text. So just like this. So it should mount. Let's see if I can get this to sit here without scratching up my motherboard. So I'm pushing it up against my hard drive cage right here. Let's see if this thing fits. Please, please fit. It fit. All right. A couple of millimeters make a huge difference. So the plan now is to rotate this back up and then cinch these onto that to hold it in place, and then we'll get it right side up. So I can see, and you can see, exactly what's going on here. Okay. How can I do this live on camera without breaking anything? You guys think I'm talking about breaking something on the computer? I'm thinking about breaking things on my body. All right, so you can probably see a little bit here. But I'm going to put in a couple of these to hold it in place so it doesn't fall out. You'll see exactly what I've done. Once I flip this over here. All right. So now we have two screws holding that up. It should be pretty straightforward. All right, now, so you can see here, these are the, thumb tight, and you can see the other two screws that popped up here. That was a tight fit. Glad that all worked out. A little struggle here. And I think maybe there's a reason why people don't make long form videos of them building these computers, because it makes everybody look, me especially, look like an idiot. People are going to be like, you are an idiot. And, I'm not going to argue with that. Can I put that on my resume? What's your defining trait? Village idiot. People always take me way too seriously when I joke like that. They're like, that's not something to be proud of. Really? You should go to Wikipedia and search for sense of humor. Read all about it. Okay. All right, so now these are in place. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of little, okay, this one's still, okay. All right, good, good, good. Okay, now let's see if the brackets fit. Okay, so we want that arrow pointed towards the CPU. Bracket fit. Bracket fit. Does it clear that capacitor? See this little capacitor right here? And see all these? There's a row of capacitors over here. Read the specs off of those things. All right. Okay, so that looks like it'll work. I hope there's enough clearance here. If we need to, I guess we could go this way. Maybe this way would be better. Yeah, I think that would be better. It looks like that give us more clearance, because we're awfully close to the heatsink here on the I/O board. So let's try it like this. CPU. Okay, but before we mount this, you'll notice that impedes all of the CPU installation stuff. So let's install our CPU right now. The first thing that we need to do, obviously, is unbox this. So we're going to pull out our knife very gingerly. Open that up. Okay, so this flap should flip up. Ta-da! We have a waffle. And inside of this waffle, is it taped shut? My dad always makes fun of me. He's like, you need to be 10% smarter than it to use it. I don't know if I was supposed to twist that off or not. Either way, that's what it looks like. The beating heart. I'm holding my computer's heart in my hands as we speak. Wow, really anticlimactic. I was, the way it's packaged, it looked like it was going to be like radioactive and glowing or something. Okay, so let me just have a good look here so I understand exactly what we're doing here. When I installed this, these are not pins. These are contacts. So things have changed because it used to be pins going into holes. Now it looks like contacts. Okay, so as we pop this open, all right, and there should be some alignment. Yeah, like that. Are they the same? So it's very important that we get this orientation just right. It's oriented like this. This is the proper orientation. All right, so let's drop this in, being very careful. So we're going to make sure it fits in these alignment grooves. Place that right there. Okay, now as I cinch this down, this cover should come off, which will allow me access to the top of the CPU to put some thermal paste on it. Let's make sure this is correct. Okay, I'm looking at that. That's fully seated. Okay. And now I'm going to cinch this down. Takes a bit of force. Everything should be okay. And of course, this stupid screw's in the way now. This is an episode of not the correct order of operations. How to install everything in exactly the wrong order. Okay, so now we need some thermal paste. And before we do that, let's get our mounting points in here. We decided we're going to do, okay, so this is pointing towards the CPU. Okay. I don't like how that fit, because that didn't allow me. Actually, that's probably okay. Okay, now let's grab some of these nuts. Slam these down. Okay, and this one. Okay. They gave us this awesome screwdriver. Should I use their instead of my Phillips? I can use this one. Okay. And then we need 2 more of those, which are bouncing around loose in a box, to hold down This last mounting bracket, again, pointed towards CPU. Hold that in place. We'll thumb tighten a couple of these. Thumb tighten. Thumb tighten. All right. Make sure those are tight enough. All right. Excellent. Smithers. Now, so those feel secure, my CPU secure, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to install some paste here and then mount my cooler onto there. But I'm going to trial fit real quick just to make sure that it's going to clear everything here, because we have a lot of stuff going on here. You see, this is why we fit things. All right, I'm going to pull this middle one so I can access, so this middle fan I'm going to pull out so I can access this. Let me scoot this over just a little bit. Do I have room? Not really. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull that. Okay, let's pull this fan, this middle fan. And so this is latched on right here and right here. Come on, get out of there. I don't want to use a tool to get this out. I just want to pop it out. Okay. Now there's a cable underneath here, so let's have some sympathy here. All right, there we go. Okay, this fan is out. We'll set it aside safely. Now, again, we're going to fit this to see how it looks. So right now I have it mounted in this orientation. Okay, which way are the fans going to blow? The fans are blowing this direction. See the arrow right here? That means the fans are blowing in that direction, right? Nope, that's not what it means, because this one up, this one, it doesn't specify. Great. Okay, so if we do try to mount it like this, looking down here, is that going on? So I'm going to walk around a little bit and have a look. The idea here is that we want a really solid contact with that CPU. And from what I can see, it looks like there's no interference here. So that will be right there. Like that. It doesn't hit this heat sink right here. Okay, that looks all right. So after close examination, it looks like this is going to work for me in this orientation. The fans would blow into the radiator. They wouldn't be sucking. So the direction of the fans must be in this direction. So we have an exhaust fan here, which I'm pretty sure will be blowing out. So I want this orientation to be switched, because those fans will be sucking air in, and this fan will be blowing air out. So this needs to be rotated. Okay, we can do that. Not a problem. Very gingerly flip this around. Okay, and it should fit nicely like this. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're ready for the install. Here we go, everybody. Hold your breaths. What does Samuel L. Jackson say? Hold on to your butts. Okay, so that direction. We're going to remove this. And we're just going to put thermal paste on just the CPU because there's no point in having thermal paste around this. This is larger than the CPU itself. So there's no point in having thermal paste on that. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to put on nitrile gloves for this. All right, let's get it installed. Nitrile gloves, thermal grease, which we're just going to gently apply here onto the CPU. What's going on, CJ?
I finished it.
Oh, good job, CJ. Good job. Show Caleb. Did you show Caleb? Okay, that looks like plenty. This is always the part where this is always just never really super elegant. I tried to zigzag back and forth and it just doesn't want to zig or zag. It's just like, we're just going to muddle this all up for you. So when my CPU is overheating, I can come back and watch this video. What happened with the thermal paste? Well, nothing happened with the thermal paste. You can see here, it's just being very inconsistent. All right, well, it's just going to mush out the sides and just be a great big mess. Okay, CJ. Okay, CJ, okay, bye. Go watch your show and go play with Caleb. All right, so we're ready to install. We peel this off right here. Warning, remove before installation. This will burn. All right, we want the fans on that side. Yep, that's right, the correct orientation. And let's set these right on top of those screws so we can mount these. All right, let's make sure. This is going to work for us. All right, it feels like it's caught. Let's see if we can slide this back over here so you can see what I'm doing. All right. So this is going to cinch down. We're just going to take our time. I think I applied way too much thermal grease. If it blows up, it's a $560 YouTube mistake. Alright, that side feels pretty tight. This side feels pretty tight. I'm going to walk around to the side and have a look at how it looks, if it's mating properly.